Hello students, now we are going to discuss anatomy of flowering plants. Plant tissue system. A tissue is a cluster of cells that are alike in configuration and work together to attain specific function. Different types of plant tissues include permanent as well as meristematic tissue. If you see a plant tissue, it is divided into meristematic tissue and permanent tissue. Meristematic tissues are of three types: apical meristem, lateral meristem, and intercalary meristem. Permanent tissue is of two types: simple permanent tissue and complex permanent tissue. Simple permanent tissue, which includes parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma. Sclerenchyma is of two types: sclerenchyma fibers and sclerids. Whereas complex permanent tissue, which consists of xylem and phloem. Xylem consists of tracheids, trachea, parenchyma and fibers, whereas phloem consists of sieve tubes, companion cells, phloem parenchyma and phloem fibers. Let's discuss one by one in detail. First, we will see the characters of meristematic tissue, or also known as meristems. Meristematic tissue contain immature and young cells that are capable of repeated divisions. Intercellular spaces are not present in meristematic tissue. They contain a homogeneous thin wall. They contain large nuclei associated with abundant cytoplasm. They are metabolically very active, but they do not store any food materials. Only protoplastids are present instead of plastids. Chloroplast is absent in meristems. Dense cytoplasm is present, which contains several premature mitochondria. Vacuoles are absent. Meristematic cells are isodiametric in their shape. Then, types of meristems. Meristems can be classified on the basis of their mode of origin, position, or function. Classification of meristem according to their origin and development. On the basis of origin, meristems are of three types. That is, first one is promeristem, also known as primordial meristem. The promeristem originates from embryo and therefore called primordial or embryonic meristem. It is present in the regions where an organ or a part of plant body is initiated. Primary meristem. Primary meristem derived from promeristem give rise to primary tissue system. They are present below the promeristem at shoot and root apex. These cells divide to form permanent tissues. Then secondary meristem. Secondary meristem located in the margins of the stem and root. It is responsible for increasing plant growth. Then apical meristem. Apical meristem is present at the growing tips or apex of the stem and root. Apical meristem upsurges the length of plant. Then lateral meristem. It is present in the radical portion of the stem or root. Lateral meristem upsurges the thickening of the plant. Then intercalary meristem. It is found in the internodes or the base of the leaves. Intercalary meristem upsurges the size of the internode. According to position, it is of three types. First one is protoderm. It is the outermost layer of the apical meristem which develops into epidermis or epidermal tissue system. Then we have procambium. It occurs inside the protoderm. Some of the cells of the growing regions, which by their elongation or differentiation give rise to primary vascular tissue, consist of procambium. Then ground meristem consists of major part of apical meristem, develops ground tissues like hypodermis, cortex, endodermis, pericycle pith and medullary rays. Then permanent tissue. Permanent tissues are made up of mature cells which have lost the capacity to divide and attain a permanent shape, size and function due to division and differentiation of meristematic activity. The cells of these tissues are either living or dead. They may be thin or thick-walled in nature. Permanent tissues, which includes parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. First we will see parenchyma. Parenchyma is a type of simple permanent tissue that makes a major part of ground tissue in plants, where other tissues like vascular tissues are embedded. They are non-vascular and composed of simple living undifferentiated cells which are modified to perform various functions. The main functions or the main characteristics of parenchyma are They are living permanent tissue that have the ability to divide at maturity and help in regeneration and healing of wounds. Parenchyma cells are the foundation of a plant as reproductive cells. Parenchyma cells occur in the form of continuous masses as homogeneous parenchyma tissues. Parenchyma cells may be associated with other types of cells to form heterogeneous complex tissue such as parenchyma xylem and parenchyma phloem. Parenchyma cells are essential for activities like photosynthesis, storage, secretion, assimilation, respiration, excretion, and radial transport of water and solute. Single parenchyma cell of a zygote has the ability to develop into an entire plant. These cells are known as totipotent cells. Then structure of parenchyma cells. It is a living cell. It has a prominent nucleus and protoplast. The cells of parenchyma are isodiametric or polyhedral in shape. They may be polygonal, oval, rounded, or elongated in nature. These cells are tightly packed or they have small intercellular spaces. They are made up of thin cell wall made up of cellulose and hemicellulose. Plasmadesmata joins the cells of the parenchyma tissue. They have several small vacuoles. In the older parenchyma, smaller vacuoles merges to become larger central vacuole which may accumulate the anthocyanin or tannins. Types of parenchyma cells. Parenchyma cells are various in nature. Parenchyma associated with chlorophyll to form collenchyma. It is associated with air-filled sacs called aerenchyma. Parenchyma associated with xylem called xylem parenchyma. Parenchyma cells associated with leaf region called mesophyll parenchyma. Parenchyma associated with epidermis to form epidermal parenchyma. Then functions of parenchyma cells. Parenchyma cells form the ground tissue of plants. Parenchyma tissues perform various important functions which include storage. Parenchyma cells have large intercellular spaces which are ideal for storage. High amount of starch is present in the tubers of potato and cassava. These can store water, fats, oil droplets, and ergastric substances. Parenchyma store water and acts as water reservoir. Then transport. Parenchyma cells transport nutrients and other chemicals. Transfer cells have outer growth for increasing and absorption surface. The xylem parenchyma helps in radial transportation of water and minerals. Some cells transport light from surface to underground cells. Parenchyma cells also helps in photosynthesis because chlorenchyma present in the mesophyll and other green parts of the plants have chloroplasts to perform photosynthesis. Then parenchyma also responsible for gaseous exchange through aerenchyma. Some parenchyma it is found in gymnosperms. They give protection function also and they are responsible for totipotent and buoyancy. Then collenchyma. These are stretched out living cells with minute intercellular gaps. Their cell walls are made up of pectin and cellulose. Collenchyma is found in the marginal regions of leaves and stems and offers flexibility with the structural framework and mechanical support to plants. Types of collenchyma. Collenchyma is of various types. First one is angular collenchyma. The thickening materials deposit at the angles or corners of the cells. In cross-sectional view, the thickenings occurs at those places where several cells meet. Example, this angular collenchyma is found in the petioles of cucurbita. Then lamellar collenchyma. The thickening materials deposit heavily on the tangential wall of the cell than radial wall. Example, stem of Sambucus. Then lacunar collenchyma. The thickening material deposit at those places where the cell wall which are direct contact with intercellular spaces. Examples, petiole of Salvia, Malvia, etc. Then functions of collenchyma. The cells are extensible with a considerable degree of plasticity and so support the organs in which they occur. Chloroplast containing collonchyma can carry out photosynthesis. In some cases, the peripheral thick-walled collonchyma becomes thin and regains the meristematic activity. The sclarified collonchyma is a mechanical cell of mature plants. Collonchyma can serve as storage sites for defensive antibacterial compounds. Then sclerenchyma. These are elongated dead cells with lignin deposition in their cell wall. They have no intercellular gaps. Sclerenchyma is found in the covering of seeds, nuts, around and vascular tissue in stem and veins of the leaves. Sclerenchyma provides mechanical strength to the plant. Sclerenchyma are of two types, one is fibers and another one is sclerids. Let's discuss fibers. Fibers, which are usually arranged in threads, are long, slender and tapered. Fibers are sometimes found in association with a wide variety of tissues in roots, stems, leaves and fruits. Fiber cells have a very tiny cavity in the center of the cell. Fibers are used commercially. Fibers from over 40 different plant families are used in manufacturing of textiles, ropes, string, canvas, goods, etc. Then sclerids. Sclerids are randomly distributed throughout other tissues. Sometimes they are grouped within other tissues in specific zones or regions. Sclerids, which are shorter than fibers and irregular in their shape, have very thick lignified secondary wall. Sclerids impact the hardness to nutshells and seed coats and gritty textile to pear fruits. This grittiness is due to group of scleroid cells. Sclerids are sometimes called stone cells. Then we move on with complex permanent tissues. A group of more than one type of cells having common origin and performing different but closely related function as a unit called complex permanent tissues. The cells may be living or dead. The important complex permanent tissues, which include xylem and phloem, they are vascular tissues also. Xylem, it is a chief conducting tissue of vascular plants responsible for conduction of water and inorganic substance. Xylem composed of tracheids, trachea also known as vessels, xylem fibers also called wood fibers and xylem parenchyma. Tracheids, they are elongated tube-like dead cells without protoplasm having tapering ends. The walls are hard and dignified, but not much thick and enclose a wide empty lumen. In the beginning, these cells possess living protoplasm, but due to lignification and deposition of thickening materials in wall, they become dead at maturity. Tracheids possess various types of wall thickenings. They may be annular, they may be spiral, scleriform, reticulate and pitted. The pits may be simple or broaded. The end walls are perforated by the presence of broaded pits which permit flow of water from one cell to another. Functions, they also conduct water and dissolved mineral elements from roots to the leaves. They also provide mechanical support due to the presence of hard and firm secondary walls. Then vessels or trachea. In this structure we will observe the trachea. They are long tubes consist of a series of drum shaped cells placed one above the other, which their walls perforated and dissolved. Each cell appears circular or oval or sometimes polygonal with a very wide lumen, which latter becomes lignified or dead. Vessels like tracheid possess various types of thickenings like scalariform or reticulate. Functions of vessels, they are chief conducting tissue of vascular plants, particularly in angiosperms. They translocate water and minerals from roots to the leaves. They provide mechanical support to the plants. Then xylem fibers, they are also known as wood fibers. The xylem fibers develop from the same meristematic tissue as the other xylem cells. They have lignified secondary wall and narrow cell lumen. They are usually longer than the tracheids of the same plant and present both in primary as well as secondary xylem. Functions: they conduct water and minerals from root to leaves and also provides mechanical support in the plants. Then xylem parenchyma, it is the only living substances of xylem both in primary and secondary xylem. Xylem parenchyma, also known as wood parenchyma and ray parenchyma, are the two types of parenchyma present in secondary xylem. The wood parenchyma is formed from fusiform cambium initiates, whereas the ray parenchyma is formed from ray initiates of the cambium. Both of them have thin walls and living protoplasm. If you see the function of xylem parenchyma, they maintain main function as storage of food in the form of starch or fats. They also help in conduction of water and minerals. Then we move on with phloem. The other specialized complex tissue forming a part of vascular bundle is phloem. It is composed of sieve elements, companion cells, phloem parenchyma and phloem fibers. Phloem is a chiefly instrumental for translocation of organic solutes, the elaborated food materials in solution. The elements of phloem originate from the procambium of apical meristem or vascular cambium. First we see the sieve elements. The most important constituents of phloem are sieve elements, the sieve tubes and sieve cells. From ontogenetic property or point of view, the sieve tube resembles a vessel or a sieve cell, a trachea. Sieve tube are long tube-like bodies formed from a row of cells arranged in longitudinal series where the end plates perforated in a sieve-like manner. The perforated end walls called sieve plates through which cytoplasmic connections are established between adjacent cells. Next we discuss companion cells. Companion cells remain associated with the sieve tube of angiosperms. These are smaller, elongated cells having dense cytoplasm and prominent nuclei. Starch grains are never present. A sieve tube element and companion cell originate from the same mother cell. Their functional association is evident from the fact that companion cell continue as long as sieve tube function and die when sieve tubes are disorganized. Then phloem parenchyma. Beside companion cells and albuminous cells, a good number of phloem parenchyma remain associated with sieve elements. These are living cells with an cellulose wall having primary fit fields. They are mainly concerned with storage of organic food materials. The parenchyma cells of primary phloem are somewhat elongated and occur with sieve elements along with long axis. In secondary phloem, there may be two types. Then fibers, that is phloem fibers. Sclerenchymatous fibers constitute a part of phloem in a large number of seed plants, though they are rare in pteridophytes and some in spermatophytes. They occur in both primary and secondary phloem. They are typical elongated cells having interlocked ends, lignified wall with simple pits. The fibers of primary phloem are essentially similar to those occurring in cortex and secondary phloem. They are of considerable commercial importance as these fibers are abundantly used for manufacture of ropes and cords. The flax fibers, unlike others, have non-lignified wall. Sclerotic cells are often present in primary phloem. They probably develop from parenchymatous with our age of tissues. Then we will see the differences between xylem and phloem. Xylem majorly conducts water and phloem majorly conducts organic food substances. So here we have a differences between xylem and phloem. Then we will move on with types of xylems, that is exarch and endarch condition. Primary xylem is all of two types. One is protoxylem and metaxylem. In stem, protoxylem lies at center and metaxylem lies outside the periphery. Such type of primary xylem is known as endarch. Endarch is common in stem. In roots, the protoxylem lies in periphery and metaxylem lies towards the center. This type of primary xylem condition we call them as exarch condition. In this structures or diagram we can observe both endarch and exarch condition. So then we have tissue system. Tissue system is of three categories: epidermal tissue system, ground tissue system and vascular tissue system. In dermal system, which includes epidermis perform protection and prevention of water loss. In ground tissue system, we consist of parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. They function as photosynthesis, food storage, regeneration, support and protection. In vascular tissue system, we have xylem and phloem. They are responsible for transport of water and minerals and transport of food. Then we will look after epidermal tissue system. It forms the outermost covering of whole plant body, which consists of epidermal cells, stomata, epidermal appendages. Epidermis is a single layered parenchymatous with waxy thick layers of cuticle to prevent water loss. Stomata is present in epidermis of leaves. It regulates the transpiration and gaseous exchange. In dicot, stomata has been shaped, having two guard cells enclosing the stomatal pore. In monocot, stoma is a dumbbell shape. Guard cells contain chloroplast and help in opening and closing of stomata. So here we have a shape of dicot stomata, which is bean shape, and shape of monocot stomata, which is dumbbell in shape. Then we have ground tissue system. It includes all the tissues of the plant body except epidermal and vascular tissues. It is divided into following parts. One is hypodermis. It is situated below the epidermis. It is multi-layered and made up of parenchymatous and sclerenchymatous cells. Then we have cortex. This consists of parenchymatous cells with or without chloroplast. Then we have endodermis. Endodermis is single layered and made up of parenchymatous cells. The radial and internal walls of endodermal cells are thickened. A band of lignin or suberin known as Casparian strips is sometimes found in the radial or transverse wall of every cell. Then we have pericycle. It is single or multi-layered and is situated in between endodermis and vascular bundle. It is made up of sclerenchymatous and parenchymatous cells. Then pith. The central portion in stems and roots called pith or medulla. It is made up of parenchymatous cells with intercellular spaces. Then vascular tissue system, which consists of majorly xylem and phloem, responsible for transport of food as well as water. So vascular bundles are of two types, that is open and closed type. In open type means in between xylem and phloem, if cambium is present, then it is open type, which is seen in dicotyledonous stem. In closed type means in between xylem and phloem, cambium is absent. This is seen in monocotyledonous stem. Then we have a structure of dicot root. Dicot root is consist of unicellular hair. The outermost layer is known as epiblema. Then we have cortex followed by endodermis. Let's see the parts or structure of dicot root. The dicot plants have taproot system. The outermost covering is known as epidermis. The epidermal cells sometimes project out, which appear as in the root hairs. The epidermis is followed by multilayer cortex, loosely made up of parenchymatous cells with intercellular spaces. The inner layer of the cortex is called endodermis, which is tightly packed by a barrel-shaped cells. Endodermis is followed by pericycle with a few layers of thick-walled parenchymatous cells. In dicots, the central pith is inconspicuous or small. The number of xylem at phloem is 2 or 4. That is why it is tetrahedral in nature. The xylem and phloem are distinguished by a layer of parenchymatous cells called conjunctive tissue. Then we have monocot root. Let's see the description of monocot root. The monocot root do not show much differences in the anatomy that of dicot roots. Monocot plants have adventitious root system. As in the dicots, the epidermis is the outermost layer followed by cortex, endodermis, pericycle, vascular bundle, pith. Pith is large and inconspicuous, but it is smaller in dicots. The number of xylem in monocots is more than 6 or sometimes it is 10 or 8 also. Secondary growth is absent in monocot plants whereas present in dicotyledonous plants. Then anatomy of dicot stem. So if you see the anatomy of dicot stem, the dicotyledonous stem is usually solid. The transverse section of typical young dicotyledonous stem consists of following parts. The epidermis is the outermost projective layer which is covered with a thin layer of cuticle. Epidermis possesses trichomes and a few stomata. Cortex is multi-layered cells sandwiched between epidermis and pericycle. The outer layer is hypodermis, which is made up of collenchyma. Next, it is followed by cortical cells made up of parenchyma, and inner layer endodermis together make up 3 subzones of the cortex. Next to endodermis, in the pericycle, which constituted the semilunar patches of sclerenchyma. The vascular bundles are conjoined collateral open with endark protoplasm. Pith is evident and made up of parenchymatous cells. Then we have monocot stem. The monocot stem usually hollow with no secondary growth. The anatomy of monocot and dicot stem is similar. However, some notable differences are as follows. The epidermis of the cortex in monocots is made up of sclerenchymatous cells. Vascular bundles are numerous but scattered, conjoined and closed, surrounded by ground tissue. Phloem parenchyma is absent. Then we have a structure of dicotyledonous leaf. Dicotyledonous leaves show reticulate venation. Lamina consists of epidermis, mesophyll and vascular system. The epidermis is covered by a cuticle of stomata. Abaxial epidermis, that is lower surface, possesses more stomata than adaxial epidermis, that is upper surface. Sometimes adaxial epidermis lacks stomata. Mesophyll, it is made up of parenchyma cells composed of both palisade and spongy parenchyma, is present in between adaxial and abaxial epidermis. In chloroplast is present in mesophyll, perform photosynthesis in leaves. Vascular bundles are surrounded by a bundle sheath cells to form veins and midrib. Then monocotyledonous leaf. Monocotyledonous leaves are characterized by the parallel venation. The anatomy of monocotyledonous leaves includes both adaxial epidermis and abaxial epidermis bear stomata. There is no differentiation between palisade and spongy parenchyma of the mesophyll. Bulliform cells are present which is developed from adaxial epidermis cells and the veins. Bulliform cells are large weird cells which are responsible for the curling of leaves for minimal loss of water. Then secondary growth. The increase in girth of the plant body is called secondary growth. The tissue involved in secondary growth are vascular cambium and cork cambium. Vascular cambium. In case of young stem, vascular cambium is present in patches as a single layer between the xylem and phloem. It forms complete ring at lateral stages. Activity of cambial ring. The cambial ring becomes active and begins to cut off new cells, both inwards and inner and outer sides. The cells which are cut towards pith mature into secondary xylem. The cells which are cut off towards periphery to form secondary phloem. The cambium is more active on the inner side than the outer. As a result, the amount of secondary xylem produced is more than secondary phloem. The primary and secondary phloem sets gradually crush due to continued formation and accumulation of secondary xylem. At some places, the cambium forms a narrow band of parenchyma which passes through the secondary xylem and secondary phloem in the radial directions. These are secondary medullary rays. Then springwood and Ataman wood. Cambium is very active during spring season but less active during winters. Hence, during spring, a large number of xylem elements are formed having wider vessels. During winter, less xylem elements are formed having narrow vessels. The wood formed during summer is known as spring wood. The wood formed during winter is called autumn wood. The two kinds of wood appear as alternate concentric rings in transverse section of the trunk of a tree. These are called annual rings and provide information about the age of trees. This phenomenon is known as dendrochronology. Then hardwood and sapwood. In older trees, the greater part of secondary xylem is dark in color, hard and resist to attacks by microorganisms and insects. This region is made dead elements with highly lignified walls. This wood is called hardwood. The hardwood gives mechanical support but does not conduct water. The peripheral part of the secondary xylem is lightly colored. This is known as sapwood, which helps in conduction of water and minerals. Then cork cambium, meristematic tissue which develops in the cortex regions called cork cambium or phellogen. The phellogen cuts off cells in both sides. The outer cells differentiate to form cork or phellum, where the inner cells differentiate to form secondary cortex or phelloderm. Phellogen, phellum and phelloderm are collectively called periderm. Then lenticels. At certain regions of the phellogen, the phellogen cuts off closely arranged parenchymatous cells on the outer side instead of cork cells. These parenchymatous cells soon rupture the epidermis, forming a lens-shaped opening called lenticels. Lenticels permit the gaseous exchange between the outer atmosphere and the internal structure of the stem. Secondary growth in roots. The vascular cambium of the dicot root originates from the tissue located just below the phloem bundles. A portion of pericycle tissue present above the protoxylem forms a continuous waxy ring that gradually becomes circular. Rest of the steps are similar in dicot stem. Secondary growth takes place in stems and roots of gymnosperms. No secondary growth occurs in monocots. Then we have some neat questions. First one, a transverse section of stem is stained with first by safranin and with fast green following a usual schedule of double staining. For the preparation of permanent slide, what would be color if you stained for xylem and phloem? If we go for an answer, the correct answer is red and green. Second question, identify the simple type of tissue: parenchyma, xylem, epidermis and phloem. For this, the correct answer is parenchyma, because parenchyma is a simple permanent tissue found in plants and xylem and phloem are complex permanent tissues, whereas epidermis is a part of epidermal tissue system. Then third question, cells of this tissue are living and show angular thickening. They also provide mechanical support. This tissue is option A xylem, option B sclerenchyma, option C collenchyma and option D epidermis. For this, the correct answer is collenchyma, because it is a living mechanical tissue. Then fourth one, epiblemma of roots is equivalent to pericycle, endodermis, epidermis and stele. For this, the correct answer is option C epidermis, because epiblemma or piliferous layer is the outermost layer of young root, which has thin-walled cells. Some of the cells give rise to root hairs which take part in absorption of water and mineral salts. Epidermis also outermost layer, therefore epiblema is the root is equivalent to epidermis. Fifth question. The conjoint and open vascular bundles will be absorbed in the transverse section of monocot root, monocot stem, dicot root and dicot stem. For this the correct answer is dicot stem. Intravesicular cambium and cork cambium are found due to cell division, cell differentiation, cell dedifferentiation and redifferentiation. For this the correct answer is cell dedifferentiation, because the phenomenon of regeneration of permanent tissue to become meristematic tissue is known as dedifferentiation. Cork cambium, wood cambium and intravesicular cambium are the examples for secondary meristem which are always produced through dedifferentiation. Phallogen and phellem respectively denote. For this the correct answer is option B, cork cambium and cork, because cork cambium is also known as phallogen and tissue of cork cells are spoken as phellem. Eighth question. In which of the following pairs of parts of the flowering plant is epidermis is absent? And epidermis is absent in root tip and shoot tip. The ninth question. How many shoot apical meristem are likely to be present in a twig of plant possessing 4 branches and 26 leaves? For this the correct answer is option C, 5, because the shoot apical meristem is present at the tips of the stem and its branches. They produce growth in length. As a twig possesses 4 branches, the number of short apical meristems are likely to be 5, including one young twig. Then last question. A piece of wood having no vessels must belong to. If vessels are absent means that must be gymnosperm. So the option is option C, pine. It is pinus. Thank you.